all those perfect elements coming together of love and suffering and pain and, of course, the Civil War and limestone caves and whatever else we want, want to throw in there. It's all there, right? It's all there. Another story from the Martha. I'll jump into just kind of high notes on some of these so we can get around to some of the other ones. Is about a Confederate soldier who was a document runner. And he was basically running documents that contained the location of Union forces. He was running these documents to General Robert E. Lee. The man had a girlfriend who was studying at the Martha College. So before leaving on this dangerous mission crisscrossing through Union-held territory, the soldier tried to visit her to say goodbye. He attempted to sneak into the school through those same caves that we just talked about, but he was caught by Union officers. The poor young man was shot to death right in front of his girlfriend. So even though the floors, or the ends floors, have been redone and recarpeted and all this stuff, there's an alleged blood stain that continues to reappear in the place of his death. The halls of the inn are so dirtied by the past, basically these kind of ghosts and wounded soldiers and all these people, that they claim that if you stay long enough, you'll be able to see folks hobbling up and down the hallways, going back and forth on their crutches, Civil War amputees, and kind of all of this stuff. You'll see nurses aiding and students aiding people to their beds, and you can hear the music and the footsteps and all of these things. It's wild. It's pretty crazy. There's a particular one that even supposedly leaves muddy footprints in his wake as he meanders through the hall. Again, 217 is one of the more haunted rooms from what I've come across. They claim the basement is pretty wild too. And again, here it is getting even worse, right? We're going to get even worse. The basement has a lot of supernatural occurrences around slavery, as it was once used to house black slaves. So there's legend of some tormented spirits down there. Right? You're going to fill a basement full of freaking slaves. That's as tormented as it gets. So from basically basement upwards, but even below, from cavernous limestone caves below upwards to the basement to all these, every single room, it seems, there was just a lot of kind of gnarly stuff happening at the Martha. So as picturesque and beautiful as it is, it seems like a pretty good concoction for ghosts, for ghost stories, for all that kind of stuff. Pretty crazy. Moving on to number 2, the Barter Theater. The Barter is a baby compared to the Martha. It's super young. It opens its doors in 1933. The Barter opened its doors proclaiming, "With the vegetables you cannot sell, you can buy a good laugh." Quote. That's the whole point. That's its name. The Barter Theater. You could barter food for a show. It's been years and years and years and years since I've been there, but the last time that I went, you could still purchase admission with canned food that they would then donate to local food banks and charities and things like that. It got all kinds of kind of funny names. Basically, one of my favorites was Ham for Hamlet. But there was all kinds of funny names that surrounded this theater. So the building itself predates the theater by far. Seems like the building is just a lot older. It says that the first theatrical performance occurred on January 14th, 1876. And wow, super creative, folks. They did The Virginian. Super creative. So the building had kind of an interesting history. It functioned. It appears that the Sons of Temperance owned it for a while. They transferred it to the town of Abingdon itself. It was used as a government building for a town hall. It was used as a fire hall as well. And all the way up until 1994, there was a fire alarm that was stationed on the roof of the theater, and it sounded as needed at any time, day or night. When the fire siren sounded during a performance, the actors were instructed to freeze their position and just resume things when the alarm concluded. So as with every other building, it seems like we're going to talk about, it had a lot of interesting history and a little bit of a checkered past. There's another theater called Barter Stage 2 that was constructed in 1829 as a Methodist church. But after a fire in 1914, only the main buildings of the church remained standing. So here's some carryover. This portion was also used by the Martha Washington College as a gym and as a storage area. And then later in 1961, the building was renovated by the Barter Theater, and they put in a small stage and called it Stage 2. So all these buildings are really close together. I think all of historic downtown Abingdon is like a max of like 20 blocks. It's not huge, so everything's pretty much within walking distance of each other. But here's where things kind of tie together even further. There's a tunnel that used to connect the Martha Washington with the Barter Theater. Tunnels, caves, all things wicked. It all comes together. And in this tunnel, there's rumored to be an extremely angry spirit. The ghost of a man who was killed in 1890 when the passageway ultimately collapsed. The actors who used this winding underpass in the 1930s and 40s often said his strong, evil presence would scare them out of the tunnels. That he basically just like lurked in the darkness and would scare off the thespians from his tunnels. So pretty crazy stuff. There's tons of ghost sightings kind of beyond this. This is kind of the more prominent one at the Barter Theater. There's also rumor that one of the founding folks, Mr. Robert Porterfield, I guess he was the founder of the Barter Theater, also haunts there as well. So he created the Barter Theater in 1933. He was the one that actually made this happen. The actors say that seeing Porterfield, that if you spot him before a performance, that it's a sign of good luck. That he's not like the angry dude hanging out down in the tunnels. He's actually, he's Porterfield the friendly ghost, it sounds like. And he's just there to continue to watch the show, it sounds like, which is kind of cool. So if you spot this cat, you're probably going to have a pretty great performance. And I really got a kick out of this because Porterfield's spirit supposedly also likes to pull pranks. In particular, he likes to screw around with the stage crews. So he really likes to move things, it appears. Everything that I've read and researched on this, it talks about him moving things and hiding things mid-performance from stage crews. So he'll just move props, he'll hide tables, he'll do this, he'll do that. And so just kind of super cool. I kind of think that's super awesome. There's also some haunted housekeepers. One in particular that they say used to hold seances and try to imprison evil spirits. That seems like a remedy to kind of get stuck there in your afterlife. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not a pro in this stuff. I'm just a fan. Right? So apparently she used to hold seances, try to catch evil spirits, all the kind of sort of fun stuff that we like to do, I guess, as people. But she's supposedly now locked in the pyramid room at the Barter. Her calling card is that she likes to yell at people who stay too late to rehearse or folks that stay past their working hours. So the Barter Theater would be a fun place to go if you want to catch a show or you want to try to have some paranormal fun. Last but not least, and one of my absolute favorite places on the planet in general, is the Abingdon Tavern. It's a bar, so yeah, it's kind of nice. It's super old. They've got amazing food, and it's haunted. So I'm going to tell you that you need to go. It's within walking distance of the other two places that we just talked about, and it's actually one of the oldest still standing structures in the state of Virginia. Google this place. Just go look up the Tavern, Abingdon, Virginia. Just look up Abingdon, Virginia. All the stuff that we talked about will pop up. But I want you to go take a look at it. The tavern itself dates back to 1779. So it's old. Like super duper old. And it was used for like everything. And it seems like every single person that you could imagine, famous person wise and presidential and everything else, kind of stayed there. It was used as a bank, as a bakery, as a general store, as a little bed and breakfast, as a barber shop, as a salon, as a post office. And then somebody lived in it for a while too. And then in 1965, it was ultimately purchased and turned into a restaurant or something in a bar, and then it's transferred through hands multiple times, and then that's kind of still what it remains to be today. It's a tavern and a restaurant. But no matter how many times it's kind of changed hands, the dead residents have remained, and it's quite the impressive list of dead folk that hang out at the tavern. There's a ghost of a cheating poker player who was shot and killed long ago when his deception was discovered. So, yep, he was cheating and he got shot, and he has lived there ever since. There's the spirit of a prostitute that was known to hang around this spot when she was alive, and she has now come to be known as the Tavern Tart. So if you're ever there looking for a cheap thrill, she's hanging around, and she apparently likes to grab men's bottoms and flirt with customers. So imagine hanging out and having that conversation with a beautiful young lady at the bar, and then her just not being there, or just getting a little ass grab going on, and then just turning around to nothing. I don't know. There seems like there's worse ghosts in the world. Maybe the dude that's all angry and mad hanging out in the caves below the barter. I think I'll take Miss Tavern Tart hands down all day of the week, any day of the week, other than hanging out in those caves. And then there's this one. This is one that's actually more near and dear to my heart because I am related to this person. And don't ask me to exactly tell you how. It's somewhere back there in my family tree, as I've done kind of the nerd thing of going back through and doing, a family tree on like Ancestry and all that stuff. This person comes up. I can close my eyes and see their face because I've seen this black and white picture of them 100 times. I think they actually have this picture hanging in the tavern, or they used to. But this person is Captain Gordon William Rife, and his ghost is rumored to hang out here quite a bit. When I turned 21 years old, I actually went to the tavern with the total intent of spending my 21st birthday with the ghost of one of my relatives, and obviously a group of friends. I wasn't alone. I wasn't like that loser. But a group of friends and I went to do this because it was just kind of sort of cool. Who has a relative that's actually a ghost? I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. But the story of Captain Rife is that he was shot and killed by an angry husband of a woman that he was sleeping with. So apparently the stories that I've heard passed down through my family was that this was kind of after the Civil War. Everything had kind of cooled down a little bit. After the South was kind of destroyed in the war, there wasn't a ton of Abingdon that remained other than some of the buildings that we just talked about. And the tavern was kind of crucial because it's a tavern. We're going to go get our drink on, right? We're going to go get our drunk on here. And he was apparently outside. He went outside to fight this guy or something. They got into a fight. Rumor was that Captain Rife carried this big bullwhip kind of thing on his hip. And the rumor had it that he basically took this whip and just beat the fuck out of this guy with this whip, right? He just beat him to a pulp in the street. And then the guy was like, hey, why are you beating me with a whip for? That's not fair. And then he ran away and got a gun and come back and then shot him in the chest. From there, the rumor continues on. None of this has been validated at all. This is just what I heard growing